have a question for you this week. Do you love folk tales, folk stories, fairy stories? Well, if you do, then meet Elspeth. This is Elspeth. Let me get you a bit closer. And we're going to find out a little bit more about Elspeth today, because this is our new gratitude journal, and this is the second spread we've done in it. The first one was just an experiment in colour and shape, and this one is a little bit more specific, I suppose. It's got a character in it, and we've got some text in it, and yes, it's a little bit more purposeful. Now, Elspeth loved nature, and that's one of the key elements in the story about her. So to tie that in with the gratitude journal today, I really would like us to celebrate the power and beauty of nature and how nature can inspire our creativity. So that's what I'd really like us to remember today in the gratitude journal. So I started off with a little bit of writing, inspired by two particular quotes that I'll show you a little bit later on. One from Charlotte Bronte, writing about her sister Emily, and also one written by Thomas Hardy, one of my very favourite authors. So being thankful for how nature can inspire our creativity is the theme of today's spread in our new gratitude journal. And I say because I like to think about it as a journey that we're doing together, something that I am enjoying sharing with you, just sharing the joy of the activity of art journaling in itself. Now, I mentioned that I started doing a little bit of writing at the beginning, and I often do this. I often just try writing, usually with my cartridge ink pen, just to get my ideas flowing, and it gives me a little bit of a boost to get started. And the idea of Elspeth has been percolating in my mind for a little while, and especially when I started my new gratitude journal. I was looking for a character that I could build a little story around, a traditional style story using some of the tropes, I suppose, from folk tales, but with perhaps a little bit more of a up-to-date twist. So I've weaved a little bit of a story together that I'd like to share with you today while we build her character up on the page. And I thought that would be quite a nice accompaniment to a nature-themed gratitude statement in our art journal. Long ago, when Dartmoor was still very wild, there lived a young girl named Elspeth. And Elspeth was particularly known far and wide for her kindness and her voice, which was, the story goes, very sweet and almost musical. It would drift over the moor like the lark's song at sunrise. So the thought of her voice over Dartmoor, like a lark singing, is beautiful, isn't it? Now, the story is that Elspeth lived with her grandmother, who was a very wise, what you would probably describe as a healer, who taught her the ways of the land and the countryside. So, for example, how to find healing herbs and which trees were very special. Now, the story goes that one crisp spring morning, Elspeth went to get some herbs, gather some herbs. Now, while kneeling by a patch of herbs, she heard a cry for help, and rushing towards the sound of this crying, she found a young man, and his horse had been startled and had bolted. It had galloped away, and in the process of this, he twisted his ankle and was in pain. Now, his name was Thomas, and he was the son of a carpenter, and he was on his way to deliver some wooden beams for a church roof. So Elspeth helped him up, and she helped him also to her grandmother's cottage, where He did stay for quite a few days until his ankle healed. Now, Thomas and Elspeth became friends, and Thomas, it is said, carved a really beautiful, delicate bird from a piece of wood that Elspeth had found. Elspeth, in turn, taught him the song of one of the birds, and she also showed him how to find water with a hazel twig. Some say you can still hear the sweet sound, the sweet song of a skylark, and the soft sound of a chisel on wood, and that those sounds signify a beautiful love story carved into the very heart of Dartmoor. Now, that's the outline of the story, and there's more detail I can build in terms of the flowers they collected, the herbs, and all of that from Wild Dartmoor. And we can work on that a little bit in the Nature Art Journal. So back to our mixed media collage, our project here. So I let it dry overnight, and you can see I've been doing a little bit of writing. We've got a quote from Charlotte Bronte and one from Thomas Hardy, and I'm just going to decide which quote would fit the best. And I've got this blank page here too, and I'd really like to put something on there as well. So I think before we move on, I'm going to take off this masking tape, and I want to put something on this side, and I think this would be the place for a little bit of writing. So I'm going to choose one of these quotes. Now, because this is my new gratitude journal, I think I'm going to choose the Charlotte Bronte quote. She's talking about her sister Emily, and I've written part of the quote. My sister Emily loved the moors. Flowers brighter than the rose bloomed in the blackest of the heath for her. Out of a sullen hollow in a livid hillside, her mind could make an Eden. She found in the bleak solitude many and dear delights, and not the least and best loved was liberty. Isn't that lovely? Well, I have actually copied that out. I've taken a little bit out there. Now, I know Charlotte Bronte was talking about the Yorkshire moors, and I often wander around Dartmoor, so it's a little different. It's a different part of the country, but it still has that wonderful feeling of solitude and freedom. Yes, so I think that's very apt. Now, I've particularly chosen this poem because I like to think that this young woman here also feels the same way as Emily about Dartmoor. I think I'm just going to I've started to do it, just rip it out. And I'm really delighted with this paper actually. I got it from this book here, which I picked up in a charity shop for £2, I think it was. And it's got this wonderful lined paper in, and I thought that was really lovely for just jotting down ideas for the journal. So yeah, I'm using that paper. Now I've also cut a picture of a bouquet from a gardening magazine. It's rather large, so I do need to make that a little smaller, but I thought if I also cut that out or shape that out, I could put the writing on top, and that will work well with my stenciling that I'm going to do over there in a while. So yes, let's get that on there too. Ripping is a lovely, satisfying thing to do, and it's nice because just at the edges where it's ripped, we can always put a little bit of distressed ink or something around the edge, and that really makes it look nice. I like that, so we'll put that there. So we're trying to build up a bit of a collage. So I will stick these in, and then we've got something to work on that page. But before I do, I'm probably going to put a colour wash over the back of that. Yeah, but I need to think about what colour. I think I might do some nice sand colour. We've got some cool colours on this side, so I'm going to toy around with that and have a cup of tea. Yes, and percolate on that one. I've been playing around with my watercolours next to it just to get an idea of contrast, and I have decided that I'm going for this combination, just something soft that will complement some of the colours in her hair. Yeah, and I think that would be nice, so we'll do that. While that is drying, I'm going to come back to this picture of Elspeth, and I've got some little stickers here that I bought from a charity shop when I went thrifting. So they should be nice. We'll just have a think about where I'm going to put them. I'm layering up just lots and lots of layers, and I will be doing some stenciling over the top of these, but let's get some of these in there. Elspeth, according to the story, loved nature, so she's really going to love this, I think. I might add a little bit of matte medium to the back of this, just to give it a little bit of extra. I think I'll pop that here. So I've got some lavender, which will pop on. Adding a little bit of extra matte medium to the back, so things stick down really well. I find if I don't, then these do not stick down so well. Really stick it down. Maybe put a bit over the top. Make sure they're really, really well stuck down, because we're going to do some stenciling over the top of them at some point. So I've got a few more bits, a tiny one like she's got in her hair. And another lovely little flower on a purple theme. I think we'll just pop that down there. And maybe put it a little bit further up. So we've got a few things stuck in now, which is going to look nice, I think. So I think we're ready to leave that to dry, and then we will do a little bit of stenciling. I've got these lovely Tim Holtz stencils here, not sponsored. I've just got those, so I'm very excited to have a go with those. I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow in there to bring out those lovely flowers. That lemon has really lifted it, hasn't it? You can still see a little bit of the old picture showing through. So I think that concludes the creative journey today. So from Elspeth and myself, have a good week and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now. Got some prescription sunglasses and it's the first time I've ever had them. I'm a little bit excited. I've come outside just to test them out and yes, I'm delighted. They're making such a difference. What do you think, Millie? She's enjoying the sunshine.